Welcome to New Realities. I'm Alan Steinfeld, and this program is about the evolution of consciousness and how we're moving into a greater possibility of who we are as human beings. And that has to do with a lot of the healing work that's happening on the body, a lot of the energetic healing work, how people are developing a greater facility for healing, for tuning into frequency and vibration. And that's why I'm talking to these two beautiful women.
Okay.
Debra Martin and Sheri Getten, and they are here based in Phoenix, and they do a beautiful type of clearing, activation, going into the body, clearing out blocks, and actually healing people on many, many levels. And
Yes.
thank you both. I had a great session. I feel really good.
Oh, that's
Good.
great.
Yes,
So we want to hear.
Yes, it was more energetic, but let's talk about the levels of healing, right?
Right.
So, but just a little background. You are a certified medium.
I'm a lab certified medium.
A lab certified medium. What does
Yes.
that actually mean?
So a lab certified medium means
Yeah.
that I went through Dr. Gary Schwartz and Dr. Julie Beischel through the Veritas program at U of A.
And because you told me a little bit. How do they qualify you as a medium in those situations?
Well, you have to go through like a quadruple blind experiment, and when you go through an experiment like that, you have to be able to prove that spirit exists, and you're coming through with personalities and descriptions.
Well, how did you prove it? How did you prove to them, or how is it proven in these experiments that you are in touch with spirit?
Well, through the evidential details that you provide to the scientist, and the scientist takes the names off of the readings to the sitter, who is the person that lost their deceased loved one, and they have to find their loved ones and say, okay, this is...
So you tune into a person, you tune into the loved ones, you describe those, and then they go to the person and say, is this true?
Which one is yours?
And you were, vetted.
I was certified, yes. I passed the test.
And so that's just something you do, and there's a whole reason how you've accessed that, but you're able to access the other realms.
Yes, I'm able to access the other realms. Being a medium is what I do naturally, and then the healing came as an addition too.
And then, of course, you're working with pure energy in
Yes.
these sessions. What's your background?
My background is I'm a healer. I was certified as a reconnection level 3 healer, and that's how we started out. And then Debra and I then combined and made it our own just because of our 18-year spiritual journey that we've taken together.
You've known each other for 18 years.
We have.
Yeah, almost 19.
19.
Yes.
And so when in the session, you're under the table. I know that sounds a little strange. Debra works under the table.
Oh.
No, but you're feeling the person
Yes.
as they are kind of in the energy. You're in the energy field of the person.
So what happens is
Yes.
a client comes in, or it could be a distance, so we place their picture on the table.
Oh, I see.
So let's say like you came in today on the table, and Sherry's working on the top part of the table.
The energy on the top,
On
yes.
the person.
Yeah.
I'm underneath connecting with you as one, so that I can see through the body, so I can feel what needs to be healed, so that I can voice, and so I can hear. So being a medium, I can use those abilities to help in the healing process, because many times a healer can feel, but they can't voice what actually is taking place in the body. And I'm able to voice and see and describe what's being done, whether there's a spiritual surgery that takes place, or it's an emotional problem, whether it's just balancing and sending the vibration and realigning and attuning.
And then what are you doing above the body?
As I'm doing it, and what's amazing to me as a healer is that I feel the frequencies, I feel the energy, the higher and lower frequencies, and where to go in the person.
Yeah.
And there's also a magnetic field that's around the person, so I'm able to sense the energies. Where they're higher frequencies, I stay in that area a little bit longer. But what's amazing is, as a healer, she's able to tell me what's going on. She can say, you know what, I see spiritual surgeons coming in, they're removing this, and we work in unison. So I'm working in an area, she has her eyes closed below, and she's describing what I'm feeling. So she can see the surgeons coming in, she can tell me what's going on, and so it's amazing how the two of us combined are able to work together like that.
So what are you feeling above the body when you're doing your energy work?
It is a palpable energy, And I always tell people I feel like there's energy that goes through me, through my hands. And it's kind of like if you think of an Etch-a-Sketch, how you move the energy around, you see those little magnets? Well, the magnets go to all different parts of the body. Where my hand goes, that energy is going. So she's describing, and sometimes we're in different parts of the body, but I go intuitively where I feel, and she then is describing what's happening as she becomes one with that person.
But you're becoming one with that person too, as far as the energy.
Absolutely.
And you work so well together.
Oh, thank
Yes.
you. I think what's really important
Yes.
is we know nothing about that person.
Oh.
We like to know nothing.
Nothing. So when somebody across the world contacts us and we just know their first name, we're able to describe what they're going through, what they're dealing with. And it could be emotional, physical, spiritual, and an actual physical.
Physical healings, yes.
Physical
They've
healings.
helped some very physically intense conditions. Do you want to talk about that, doctor, or would you rather not?
I think what we should do is just say, like, on the
happened?
physical level, we've seen cancer removed. We've seen prostate.
From this energy work.
Yes, from this energy work, we've seen cancer, 100% cancer removed when somebody had 2% chance of survival. We've seen prostate cancer. We've seen emotional, where somebody was suicidal.
Yeah.
100% change.
How did that happen, the suicidal change? I mean, how did you switch that?
That was amazing. Here you see this person that walks in that's so sad. There's no light inside them.
Yeah.
And then when the session's over, they look at you and go, I haven't seen that light for a long time. And you feel the switch and you feel the love and you see the crying. Every session is different. Not one is the same, but we always seem to feel the love that's in the room.
But how did you help that person who was what has
Well,
actually happened in that session?
What it is we feel like, God works through us. And we feel like they are feeling the love of God and their lights being turned on within. There might, sometimes when things are so dark around them, they don't know how to get out of it. And so what's happening is this light and this energy is going through to that person. They're being reignited. So basically their switch is turned off. And what we're doing is helping, it's always there. It's always there, but they may not know how to turn it back on. So they're feeling love, complete pure love. And by this love, it's igniting them. It's igniting their flame within.
Because you're bringing in that pure love.
Yes.
Into
It's all love.
Both of you are bringing in a frequency of love.
Yes.
So the person, because I can understand physical healings,
Yes.
but someone who's suicidal, in a way, it's even deeper than a physical thing, because it's in the whole frequency.
It's in the mind.
Yes, it's in the mind.
And so they do go to the head, and it's like recalibrating your head, rewiring their thought process. And that has to do with energy work and what I see the spiritual surgeons take place in. Just, it's a mindset. And, emotional pain is a sickness. It may be harder because your brain is used to thinking that way, but if we can change that frequency, it's just like changing and eliminating the cancer.
Yeah.
So how do you change the frequency?
Also, what happens during this session is it's not only the love that people are feeling and that energy of love and light that's going through to them, we're able to get to the root of the problem. And sometimes what happens is, while I'm sending the energy, Debra will see something in her mind, what has happened in the past. It could be something that happened when a person was 4 years old. We go back to that. We go back to what is causing it, the root. So then we're able to then release that root and clear that blockage. So then they understand why they had it. And, a lot of times people are crying because they're like, wow, I didn't realize that I was hanging on to that.
And you're feeling that person's pain. You're actually
feel-
feeling the pain, aren't you?
I take on the pain so I can release it and go through it. And, everybody's like, oh my gosh, I feel so bad that you took this pain on. Why did you do that? Are you okay? And it's like, no. This is beautiful, because if I can feel it, I don't deny what's taking place. And when Sheri and I say love and light, what we're speaking of is love and light as an energy, but that energy is God.
Yes.
And we use our God. It's universal. It's but we stand in God's light and give God's love, and that's what they're feeling.
But if you take it on, how do you get rid of it? Because some healers really do have a hard time, and actually they can get ill if they take on that person's stuff. So what do you do?
Well, in the beginning of each session, we say a prayer.
Yes.
And during that prayer, I am saying that, I can feel it, and this is a blessing. So I will feel it. So I'm owning that. I'm okay with taking it on. But I also say at the end of the session, when it's complete, I no longer hold on to it, or I will not continue to feel it. So it's like you're setting your introduction, your intuition, you're allowing, but you're not
Intentions.
allowing to hold on to it, and it's complete when it's complete.
What did you say?
Her intention. Our intention, we pray before each session and we ask God to be his instruments. And then at the end of the session, we say, and Debra says, I will no longer hold this. Once we are done at the session, this will leave.
But the important thing to know is also that you get out of the way. Your personality, your
Absolutely.
problems, your whatever is going on in your life, you put that aside.
Yep.
Well, what we do is when we step into that room, we say, I step into this room. I, Deborah Martin, step into this room. I remove my humanness aside. So everything
And
has to
you
step
say
aside.
that out loud.
Yes.
Remove my humanness aside.
Aside.
Yeah.
So that I can now be God's instrument to heal.
And you say that too.
Yeah. I, Sheri Getten, remove my humanness aside and we allow God to work through us as his instrument.
Why can't you walk around with your humanness removed? I'm just curious. I know that's
It's
a
kind of
different
like
show.
it's kind of like removing your ego, because we know that we're not the ones doing it. That
But can't we live that way? I mean, I know that's a separate show.
Well,
but
we can live that way, but what happens during a healing session is we have a lot going on in our lives.
Right.
Yes.
Your
And so
mothers.
you're saying everybody does.
Yeah.
And so
Yes.
it's saying turn it off.
Yep.
Okay.
Be 100% present here and now.
Okay.
Remove the humanness,
Yep.
get focused, and be one with the person that's here for what they
But
need.
could you live that way is my question.
I would love to live 100% that way.
'Cause
but
it's
there's
very
that humanness
joyful,
part.
yeah.
But
But you have what? But
the mind just
Okay.
creates
so yeah,
matter.
everyone has their own
Yeah.
stuff to deal with. You still have your own whatever
Life.
karmic life
Yeah.
situations.
It's just
and-
life.
But we could choose possibly to live that way if we.
Well, what we choose to do, Sheri and I have learned
Yes.
in a very hard way, is to not be in control.
Mm.
And when you lose the control and you just trust that everything's going to be okay through your guidance, through your God that you pray for or to, then it's freeing. You know that either way it's going to turn out fine.
Yes.
But it is hard to do it in the life outside the. I know it's hard.
And we do it every day.
We do it every day.
You do?
Yeah, we
Yes,
do.
We've had to because that's
why?
Well, because
Had to trust.
You had to trust.
Yeah.
Part of your work is about trust.
100%.
It's all about trust. It's 100% trusting and surrendering, because we know ultimately every healing's not up to us. It's between the person receiving the healing and God. And it's up to them whether they want to step into the healing, whether they want to own it. Some people will come into a healing and they'll say, you know what, I don't even know if I deserve this. So we step in and do our part. Everybody plays their roles. They have to then do their part. And, some people step into it and some people
Well,
don't.
what do you say to someone who doesn't feel they deserve it?
Well, we hear that about the deserving, and we say, "You deserve this. You are loved."
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden they're like, "Wow, I do," and
Yeah.
then they'll receive it. But there's other people that will come to a session, and they'll be told, "Okay, now go home and honor your healing. Allow it to set place. Go and just relax and receive, and maybe journal, whatever it is you need to do." And some people will leave, and they'll be like, "Woohoo! Done with the session. On with the happy hour." Well, we can't control what people do when they leave here, so we can give you what you receive, but it's up to you to access it and own it and step into it.
Yeah.
We can't hold everybody
So
else's
what should
hands.
people do? Okay, you give them a really deep healing. Then what do they need to do when they leave here?
They need to then go within, because I think that all your answers are within you. And so we give them the tools, we give them the balancing, the energy needed. Then everybody's got their soul journey, everybody's got their soul purpose. So then it's their journey. Once they leave here, their path, it's up to them to, we always say, light your candle within. Sit and have that connection with your source, and you will all the answers are within.
So after the session, sit, be with the energy, the
Yeah.
new energy, and then maybe recalibrate your life in a different way.
Absolutely. Listen to what comes to you. Listen to what's working, what's not working in your life. There might be work. Maybe there's things that you need to release in your life that people are afraid to walk forward. So listen then, because you've got everything that you needed was given to you during the session.
I think the number one thing people have problems with is fear.
Fear of?
Fear of anything. It could be fear of, I'm owning this cancer, that fear that I'm going to die. And then fear, here you're giving this person a healing, and you have to remove that fear because they have to believe that they deserve and that this can really happen.
Yeah.
Because fear can create it to be worse than what it is. And so that's a whole nother level too.
So how do people deal with fears? I mean, how do you help them?
We help them walk through their fear.
Mhm.
We're able to see what they are dealing with in their mind or something that they took on when they were a child. We had one woman that was, it was told that she was sexually abused. Her father, her deceased father, showed up in the room.
And
And
you saw that?
Yes. And he said to her, I never knew you would have took on my shame.
That's
And
interesting.
And she was very sick.
She had,
She was physically sick.
Yeah.
she had
But-
already breast cancer for 14 years.
But from the sexual abuse,
From
from
the
the
shame.
shame, she took on his shame.
Yes.
And then she
She
had
felt guilty.
shame about the incident.
Correct.
And then she was able to release it.
How
and
was she able to release that?
crying, tears. She didn't realize that she'd been hanging on to it.
Oh, so you spoke the words of the Father.
Yeah, that's
and
right.
And then she put that all together, and she
Well, she had a
released-
conversation with him.
Oh.
She never really got to confront him.
And when
And she was waiting, like, well, why didn't he ever say he's sorry? Why did he do this? I thought he was everything to me as a child.
And
And he said, I never thought to say sorry. I never thought you would hold on to the shame.
did he say he was sorry? And
He said that he was one that would have never thought that it was something that he had to say he was sorry.
So that was a healing for him on the other side.
Well, I would say
Yeah.
it was a healing for both, yes.
But when she finally acknowledged that and was able to release the held back emotion, her physical illness cleared up.
Well, she felt empowered and
Yeah.
enlightened in a whole different way. She felt freed.
She felt freed. She said she hadn't felt that way, so it was freed. And I think sometimes also it's just the simple words that are said to each person through God. And it's simple words that they didn't realize the words are so simple and so pure and so beautiful. It's the simplest of words. And it's interesting because the energy in the room even shifts when these words are being said through Debra. And, oftentimes when she's saying the words, she'll often cry. I will cry because the words are so
beautiful.
They're
Yeah.
beautiful, and it's
I know.
simple, and we don't realize how simple it is, and so
How
that's
simple
magical.
Healing and letting go and
Yeah.
speaking the truth.
Speaking the
Speaking
truth.
the truth.
Well, and
I
then-
love that. Yes.
Yeah.
And you look at mediumship. Mediumship, when you do a reading for someone, it tells a story,
Mm-hmm.
right? You figure out, okay, how the person passed, why she's grieving. It tells a story. Healing has a story too.
Yeah.
And healing is part of their journey. But every message in every healing that we have had gives a simple lesson to anyone that could listen to it. And that's what's beautiful. We transcribed several of ours, and it's with an agent right now with a
Like
book.
what kind of message? Like, can you just...
Give you a message
Yeah,
for
give me-
one. Like,
Yeah,
okay, so like
yeah, so
there's-
people get
Yeah.
it.
Okay, so there's like a chapter on cancer, and she has to go get chemo treatment every week. How is she going to get through chemo? Like, she's dreading. It's painful. You don't want to have to go through this. And God says, I will hold your hand, and as this medicine goes through you, it will be my medicine.
Mm-hmm.
So allow it to alter it for only what you need. It doesn't have to be as bad as you think. And it's just simple.
And that you're never alone. I think that another message is that people sometimes feel like they're alone, and God wants us to know we're not alone. He's there with us. So it's words of empowerment, and that you're not alone.
But who is God? Is God a being outside of you, or is there
No,
God?
God's inside all of us. He's
I mean, is it
inside.
a he though? Is it an aspect of us? I mean, just everyone has their own opinion. No, there's no right answer. I'm just wondering.
I just feel like I say he, but God is love. He's all encompassing. It's within us. It's just pure love. So I don't know that it is a he or she. It's just love.
And what's God for you?
Well, when I crossed over,
All right, you had a near-death
Yeah.
experience.
I've
Yes.
had 3. So one I stood next to and heard the voice.
Voice of
God,
God.
giving me choice.
Mm-hmm.
My third one, it was being in the arms of God,
Being held.
being held like a child. So I thought, oh dear, I must be really sick.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm not standing this time and I'm being carried, something's wrong. So I think what happens when we become one, or we're in the presence of God, he comes in a form that we recognize.
Mm-hmm.
Each of us have our own vision. And that's why I say God is universal. And so there's not just one.
Right. But aren't we in the presence of God now?
We are.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, what makes it different? Because it's more palpable, I guess, in those
More palpable. That's
in
a
those
great way to
other
put it.
States, like you're close. You realize there's a closeness.
Yes, when we're in the healing room
Mm-hmm.
and there's an energy shift in that room,
Mm-hmm.
and all of us start to feel emotional.
Mm-hmm.
We feel such love that it's not denying, that it embraces you inside and makes you cry on the outside.
Yeah.
And that's what I would describe God as.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that's right here. It's in every moment.
It's in every moment,
Every moment.
for anyone.
But in the healing room, you feel like you can connect with it in a deeper way.
Yeah, because you're taking the time out. You are taking that. You're there because of that connection. We're giving you a direct connect, and so you're there for that healing, for that moment. You know, everybody's so busy and rushing around. You don't have time to connect. You got to go to your next appointment. You got to make breakfast. You got to go get groceries. You got a business meeting. So when you come here, it's 1 hour for you. You're lighting your candle.
Mm-hmm. And for you guys, you get to take out.
Absolutely.
It's beautiful.
Right.
I think the saying is, when one is healed, we're all healed. That has great meaning because we feel every word that's said, everything that we feel in there, it just changes us as human beings too.
Mm.
And you asked Ellen, is God just more accessible in the healing room? Well, our intentions are miracles.
Yeah.
And the miracles don't come from me or from Sheri. They come through us. So yes, that you would be stepping into a room where you feel the presence of God, because that's what you're asking for.
And in the near-death experiences, when you're feeling held, what's the difference between that and this experience?
When I was on the other side, the love is more intense. I can feel it here, and I know it when it enters. But there, it encompasses your every being around you, and there's a light that we don't even know or that exists here. And you don't want to leave it. It feels so beautiful.
But we can bring it here, or you have left it, in a sense, when you come back.
I do bring it here. Yes, I bring a piece of it here.
I mean, I know you're friends with Eben Alexander.
Yes.
And he has some similar experience. You want to talk about the connection with Eben and what he's felt from your work, if you don't mind sharing a little bit?
I think we can speak a little bit about
Just a little
Dr.
bit.
Eben
Yeah.
Alexander.
Yeah.
But it's his healing, and
Right.
he owns it.
Right.
So it's
Right,
his.
right,
But
right.
to have a man that has crossed over like myself,
Mm-hmm.
and to be able to go back to the space that he was in when he was in a coma,
Mm-hmm.
and to relive that
Yeah.
on a subconscious level, everything was vibrant, everything was real, and he will explain that it was like seeing it and feeling it awake.
In his near-death and in your healing sessions, you
Yes.
In our
Yeah.
healing
Oh,
session, it
and-
came back.
Yeah.
Oh, what was your experience? What it was?
Just when he came into a healing session, I just felt, again, I always say it's all about love, and just felt that energy of love, and he was able to experience, and I think because Debra takes people on spiritual journeys too during their healings, he was able to go to a level that he couldn't or may not go on his own. So they were able to take this journey just because they've been there. She's crossed over, so has he. They were able to take this beautiful spiritual journey where a lot of magical things happened.
I see. Because he's still, when I look at or when I talk to him, he's still in that energy. He has like a sort of radiance or smile on his face.
I think what it is he's chosen to carry a microphone.
Mm-hmm.
And that microphone is to awaken and enlighten all of us.
Yes.
And we each have a duty and a mission to do that, but his is on a higher level. And he feels that that's his new duty, and he's doing a really good job by having his love now touch others. God's love through him is now shining out, and that's what you feel when he smiles.
We're talking about Dr. Eben Alexander, who wrote the book Proof of Heaven, who had a near-death experience, and he was a neurologist and didn't believe in any of the afterlife consciousness. And then with his experience, he had a total awakening of who he really was as a eternally divine being. So, and he really likes your sessions, he told me.
We've had some beautiful, profound sessions where we've gone to higher levels, and it's amazing.
Right. So let's just talk about the levels that healing exists on. There's the physical, there's the emotional, there's the mental, there's the there's the family kind of level. So talk about how they all relate to each other. Like things start, people say, in the psychological or in the emotional body, and then becomes physical. Have you noticed that? In what way?
I think that things that we carry, that we kind of put underneath the carpet and we don't address, and sometimes we're not even aware of them. That could be little manifests physically in our body. So I think we carry these things we don't realize. A lot of us, we don't realize, and then they manifest, and that's when we see them.
And if we have them emotionally, we don't address them, they sort of start to materialize.
Yes.
Yeah, and life isn't easy, and we all have to go through our obstacles. Sometimes we just want to push them aside because we don't have time. Yeah. Life is too fast.
Or it's too painful.
Or too painful,
yeah.
right?
It is
we don't want to go there.
But you have to feel to heal.
Yes.
You have to go through it.
Good.
And when you go through it, you'll say, oh my gosh, I feel so much better. But if you don't and you just ignore it, it's going to come back.
Because it hasn't been dealt with.
Exactly.
That's right. That's
so
right.
we need to deal with the shadow, whatever we want to call it. We need to feel it. Yeah.
You do need
Feel
to feel
heal.
it.
Even if it is painful.
Yes.
Even if it emotionally, like abuse.
Yeah. And it's good to shed those tears. It's healing. Tears are
and it's
healing.
good to bring it out from the shadows into
Yes.
reality so it can be healed.
Yeah.
Right, and some people feel like, oh, I just can't go to that. I can't go there because if I go there, I might not be able to get picked back up.
Yeah.
And so their fear of, oh, why would I want to go to that space? That's not happy. That's not a happy space. But that's when you are going to those deepest despairs and connecting. You want to connect with your source, and you're connecting and releasing, and you're self-healing.
Yeah.
But why do you think of course we've created everything in this life to learn on a soul level.
Yeah.
Why would someone create that? What is the lesson someone learns in this life from those experiences?
I just think that life is a journey. Everybody has their journey. Everybody has their path. Sometimes our most difficult struggles give us the strength we didn't realize we had. So I think sometimes in pain is where we grow, and that's where and sometimes people lose sight of our source, lose sight of God, and sometimes, these things bring us back to Him because know that we're all connected and we're not alone. So sometimes our greatest struggles become our greatest joys.
And gifts.
Gifts.
I call them shifts. I think in life we have many shifts. Some shifts are beautiful weddings and babies, and we still don't ask for them. They just show up. And some shifts are car wrecks or sickness, but they shift us into who we become.
Yeah.
And we don't always ask, but we have to deal. And
Is there a way of shifting without going through those traumas? Can we desire to be greater and not have to? Someone said, you're only when you get the message, you don't need to experience the thing.
Exactly.
It's about getting the message.
Yeah.
Yes.
Exactly.
I believe that's completely true.
So
you want to learn as much as you can and grow as much as you can spiritually.
what
An
does
awareness.
that mean spiritually when
An
you say
awareness.
grow? An awareness of who we are as human beings.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so when you learn your awareness and who you are, you're growing. And so when you when you decide not to learn, that's when you have to have the shift to.
But why would someone decide not to? Because it's too painful, I guess, or
Yes.
Or they don't want to
Or they're
connect.
just on their path. They're dealing with life with what's in front of them, but they don't want to know what else is within them or around them.
And why would they not want to know that?
Because it's too unfamiliar, or they don't want to go into that space.
And they don't
That could
want,
be fear.
and it's fear, or even though the future can be even more wonderful than we can imagine.
Right.
But they don't know or want to. They want to live in reality in the now, and they don't want to go to places that they can't
Well,
explain.
there's nothing wrong with living in the now.
No,
but
No, it
it's
is
just-
good about living in the
But-
now. But
but-
I'm saying,
They're stuck. They
Yes.
want to be safe, secure,
Safe.
predictable.
That's a good
Exactly.
one.
And if something
Safe.
stretches beyond their boundaries,
Stop.
I mean, you know people like that.
Yes, it makes them a little nervous.
But we see, well, that's exciting.
Yeah.
But they see, you know, I like my comfortable little life and
You're right.
don't disturb my routines.
Yeah.
And it gets to be so boring, though, doesn't it? That
I would
Well,
think.
I would think because you're not growing.
right. And so, what is there anything we can do for those people?
I think that we can give them the knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
We can share things, what we know that we've gone on our spiritual path, and then it's up to them whether they want to take it or not. They can put it in their little cup, and at some time maybe they'll go, "Wow, she told me that a while ago. Maybe it's time to take this out of my cup."
Mm-hmm.
You know,
And sometimes they don't, and
And
that's
sometimes they
okay
don't.
too,
And that's
right?
okay, too. It's not up to us, but I
Yeah.
think as we can all become teachers.
In what way?
Teaching what we know, sharing it.
Yeah.
And
To
when we
share.
share what we know, then it can touch someone else in another way where maybe they don't have to go through the shift I did in order to become what I learned.
So, what's the best teaching for you?
the best teaching for me are my hardest lessons, things that I've gone through. You
Like?
know, divorce, losing a house, financial. You know, there's been a list.
And how have they been good for you?
They've been good because it's made me have trust in God, and when I now I know that whatever happens, I surrender it, place it in His hands, and I trust. When I pray about something, I don't try to control it. I let God control it, and it's given me. I think with both of us, we have such immense trust in the work we do in our lives that we trust the open doors, we trust shut doors. And I wish I would have known this a long time ago, but we are where we're at right now because of it,
And it's really great.
and it's really great.
It's beautiful.
And they have a great healing center here in Phoenix, Arizona.
Yeah.
And how can people find you?
Oh yeah.
You can go to Debra, Debra, and A-N-D, Sheri, SHERI.com.
Oh, really? DebraandSheri.com?
Yep.
Or Debra and Sheri at
Gmail.com to email us,
So
and
and
we do healings around the world. People can just email us their pictures, and they can receive from wherever they're at. So we don't just do healings here in Scottsdale. We do them around the world, and in fact, most of our healings right now are distant healings. So we're available wherever.
and they go very deep into the person and pull out whatever needs to be cleared so we can live happier, clearer, cleaner, joyful lives.
Yeah, more
Absolutely.
harmonious.
More harmonious. And they're very dedicated, and you're dedicated.
And
We're
I give
dedicated.
100% of ourselves
You
to them.
do.
We step in here and we are all about love, and we give 100% of ourselves.
Why do you do that?
Well, you felt
Love
it.
it.
I did, but
Right?
I did. I felt very good, but it's so amazing that you do that. I mean,
Why would you say it's amazing?
Because not everyone does that. That's why.
I
Not
think-
everyone gives. That
I
much.
think when you are going to do the work that we're doing, and we have to say, okay, it's not about us, and if God's going to use us as His instrument, He's going to use 100% to give that love. And that's what people feel. They're like, oh my gosh, she gave all of herself. And sometimes people come under the table and go, I just want to hug you. I'm like, no, you just want to hug God.
Yeah.
You don't know me. But that's,
Well, you give yourself, both of you, of
Absolutely.
that, and that's your love.
That's our
it
love.
is.
Yeah.
It is. We do put 100% in.
Well, thank you.
Thank
you.
you.
Debra and
It's our
Sheri
privilege.
from DebraandSheri.com here in Phoenix. But so if they go to the website, they can find out how to find you. Do you have a phone number? It's all on the website.
It's all on the website.
Okay.
Yeah, it's all on the website, and there's a little form. They can either email us at DebraandSheri@gmail.com, or they can go to the website.
And they have done some miraculous healings on the physical, emotional, psychological, mental levels. And
Right. They can also go to goldenmiracles.com. There's a lot of YouTubes on that.
right. And you are publishing a book?
Yes.
We are publishing a book.
What's that called?
Direct Connect to God.
Oh,
Yes.
Direct Connect. It's like that. Delivery
Very
service.
exciting.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. This is Alan Steinfeld with Debra and Sheri. And if you want to reach me, you can go to my website, newrealities.com.
Thank you. Thanks, Alan.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Group hug. Ugh.